Welcome once again, everybody, to another episode of the Elephant in the Room. This is a quick fire one. We just had to get on here and just kind of discuss the Champions League final. I know we released one just a couple of days ago, but we want to keep the momentum rolling as we go. Like we said in the last one, a very busy summer for football. And we want to take full advantage of all the high quality games on show. But I wanted to just start with the guys, and we know the game that we discussed on Friday was not the game that we saw. And I think the big turning point was that early goal. So SP, what were your thoughts after you saw that goal in by Kai Havertz in the 5th minute? What were you thinking like the game was going to be like? And obviously not what you expected, but what were your thoughts on that?
Not really what I wasn't expecting. I expected them to Arsenal, if they got an early goal, they would have gone into sort of a low block and would have tried to wind down the clock as much as they could. And they did that, I think, because they gave PSG a bit too much respect. Because I think Arsenal is a better team than what they showed us.
Mhm.
Arsenal isn't a low blocking, you know, defensive unit.
A Simeone
they're
team.
they're not that type of team. So I think in that regard they give PSG a bit too much respect. And I think as time went on, when PSG got into their rhythm, PSG was able to get behind them a bit more than when they had just scored. But I think all in all, I think it went as I expected. If Arsenal had scored first, if PSG had scored first, I think the game would have been a bit more open and a bit more better viewing for the neutral, because Arsenal would have had to come out and play football. But
Yeah.
the fact that they scored first, I think it took a bit away from the game, where they didn't come out to play as much as people thought they would have. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I think the Arsenal definitely didn't come out to play, but Fraka, I think you also have to look at PSG, and PSG was also neutralized. I don't think that they're used to coming up against a low block. Almost every team that they play, they would have more possession, and teams would sit back in those defensive units and try to prevent them from playing. But we also don't think that either through the sheer brilliance of Arsenal's defending or just their players not being successful. But what's your thoughts on why you think PSG will neutralize and the first half looked so frustrating for them?
Because PSG are not used to playing side to side possession football.
Hmm.
They used to moving, progressing the ball and going up the field, while making the passes. I honestly was surprised that Luis Enrique put Fabian Ruiz into the first 11 versus starting with Zaire. I say that to explain this. Fabian Ruiz and Jean Neves are basically the same type of midfielders when it comes to their positioning and where the space that they occupy on the field.
Hmm.
Now, Zaire would have given the game a little more balance, as in he would have been like more central, where Vitinha and John Neves would have just like been like a little more advanced. And the fact that Arsenal had like we said, four centre backs in the field, there will be no adventure from either one of them coming up the field. So it would always be a flat back four with Pop. It was Declan Rice as the third centre back,
Yeah.
and then he had Odegaard and Lewis Kelly just a little slightly advanced. So both teams was basically doing the same thing
Yeah.
when it came to like the possession and the middle of the field. So it was a lot of side to side movement with no penetration. The best thing for Arsenal is that they scored first,
Hmm.
but they were like as we said they were comfortable. They were trying to manage the game rather than play the game. Sorry, excuse me.
Yeah.
So it was like a managed game from like the 7th minute up until I can't remember when the game actually sprung to life. It was before the penalty for sure.
Yeah.
But I think it was the fact that PSG was forced to play a style that they were not used to, as in their possession was just like lateral rather
Yeah.
than forward. It was a lot of side to side, and because Crabber couldn't get wide,
Hmm.
Dembele, I don't know what Dembele was doing,
Yeah. I don't know what
honestly.
his role was. Yeah.
I don't know what Dembele was just he Dembele looked like he came from the club like 2 hours before,
Yeah,
and he was just like, yeah, I'm here just to collect this paycheck.
yeah,
That he was supposed to be here for long before he actually went off.
yeah.
He was not himself, which I sometimes it happens, but all of us we've been there.
Hmm.
You come into a big game and you just do have what it takes. But he could have done. He was the one in the front three that I think that could have like mixed it up a little bit. I never see them switch. I never see Dewey go down the middle as much as I saw him.
Yeah,
Then Billy was camped out on the right. Crowder was camped out, like, hoping that Mosquera would bite, which he did.
yeah,
He did bite, he got the penalty. But like I said, it was just something different. Like you said, I expected Arsenal to play in that. Remember I told you all about the two blocks of four.
yeah,
I expected the two blocks, but I didn't expect it to be like for the whole game.
yeah. And yeah, I think it got almost worse because there was a point where I think for a long time it was a 4-5-1 and Havertz did a decent job of making life difficult for Pacho, especially in Marquinhos with his physicality. But then in the second half they brought on Gyökeres and they made it, a classic 4-4-2 and trying to pump it up and win scraps. But SP, I wanted to bring you in here for some tactical watching the game because we do acknowledge, at least I think most people acknowledge that PSG didn't play well on an individual level. I think Nuno Mendes is probably the worst game that I've seen him play with very little
In,
influence in the game.
in 3 years.
Kvaratskhelia, although he won, player of the tournament, I don't think he was at this game. We talk about Dembele already. Due grew into the game. I think he showed his fitness really is what stood him apart. But we know after Harvard scored, there's surely no way that Arteta expected them to just defend the entire game through. But also, if you're Luis Enrique and you're seeing it break down, like what are you seeing on the pitch? What did you notice tactically that you could have changed to possibly have PSG a little more successful? Because what I saw from at least a tactical standpoint is usually Fabian Ruiz is a ball carrier. He's a guy just like Declan Rice who'll pick up the ball and break lines with just striding through and committing players to create 2v1s to get people to jump and then get the ball into the wide areas where Due and Kvaratskhelia can go 1v1. What I noticed is that he camped up on that left side most of the first half at least and prevented that quick ball out to Kvaratskhelia. But when he did, he took up space there, he got into it, and Saka was doing a good job of tracking back. So it always a 2v1 against Kvaratskhelia, which was very, very difficult. And for me, tactically, that's one of the things I noticed that maybe isolating Cravo a little bit could have gotten one on one with Mosquera. We know he's been susceptible to bad defending. But SP, I'm interested to know just like tactically what you thought Luis Enrique could have changed or what you would have changed if you were in his position from the game.
So I don't think I would have been able to make a tactical change where I would have brought on someone else. I think you have to give kudos to Arsenal because they did well to double and triple up on these types of players, Dewey, Cachavilla. What Fracas said where he didn't see Craver moving anywhere. I saw Craver a few times on the right hand side,
Mm-hmm.
which I haven't seen very often. So that means that Arsenal was doing something right where they were able to double up and triple up on these types of players because when we spoke in the group, I did mention that that's the most I've seen Craver get the ball on the wing and pass
Yeah,
pass the ball back, you know? So I think we have to give kudos to Arsenal from a tactical standpoint. They did that very well. They were able to not allow PSG's wingers, which are the strength, to get into a 1v1 situation.
yeah,
When they did get into a 1v1 situation, the wingers were probably a bit too tired, where they were not able to do much and they would have to go back. But in regard to tactical changes, I think it's a case where you just have to let the game go on and allow, because remember, football is a game of mistakes, and
yeah,
just allow somebody to not do their job and then take advantage of it, which did end up happening, where they and but what I would have asked my players to do, at least at halftime, would have been to play a bit faster because
yeah,
the ball took too long to get spread out wide
one hundred
to
percent.
to their players. So I think they could have passed the ball a bit quicker, as per being a bit lackadaisical in getting it out and creating these 1v1 situations.
Yeah, 100%. I think Kvaratskhelia and Dewey just excel when they get into these 1v1 situations, and the ball was so hard to them that by the time they did it, players got across, doubled up, tripled up like you saw. And then the penalty that they won was him getting the situation where it was 1v1, a little 1-2, and he was able to use his body well to manipulate it and get a foul. So but we saw them neutralize PSG, and PSG were not themselves. But there were times when Arsenal did get the ball a little bit, but we didn't see much quality. I remember what I can remember is a few chances here and there. I remember Saka having a semi-dangerous crossing, but the keeper ultimately got that and got a foul of it. But I didn't see much. So it kind of begs the question, Fraka, is like, do Arsenal have enough quality in their attack, and is the reason we're not seeing them flourish because maybe the coach has depended too much on the defensive ability, because we're talking about four centre backs, two defensive midfielders across the back line. There is very difficult to be stay connected with your attackers. So ultimately, like, do you think Arsenal have enough quality in the attack?
Well, if you listen to them, they have the best squad in Europe. So I'm not going to build them out by telling them that they have no quality. Your players don't show up when they need to show up
Yeah,
because Saka is supposed to be world class, right?
but you didn't see
Saka
it.
has. I have never seen Saka be world class in an Arsenal shirt.
Mm,
I've seen good performances on Saka, but if you want to be put up there with the Yamins and the Cravers, you know, guys of that sort, I don't even think Saka is a more clinical winger than Marcus Rashford, if I'm being honest with you. Because I've seen Rashford win games.
yeah,
I've never seen Saka win a game.
you're gonna get
So
some stick from the Arsenal fans for that, man.
I do not care because I'm telling you the truth. Saka looks better in an English shirt than he does in an Arsenal shirt.
Hmm.
When I watch Saka play for England, I can tell you that's a bad man.
Yeah,
When I watch Saka play for Arsenal, he's just another player. Now, I'm not on the training ground getting the information that he's getting from his manager.
right.
Saka gets to the byline, he doesn't cross the ball. Saka gets inside, he doesn't shoot the ball.
Yeah,
I don't understand what happens to Saka, especially when he has a striker like Gyökeres in front of him, or people like Declan Rice coming from coming from the top. There's some when you're playing wing, you have to have a little bit of ego about you.
yeah,
You have to let people know that you're here. People just play Saka normal. I never seen Saka. Have you ever seen Saka being double team?
yeah. And then you juxtapose that to the performance, or like the cameo that Madueke came in and did. And Madueke, we'll talk about the controversial decision in a little bit, but you saw him have a little more intent, have a little more desire to go at his defenders, and that's what defenders hate. I think with Saka, it's a lot of, he doesn't look like he has the trickery, the intent to go on v1, the speed to want to go at
Saka
players.
gets
So
Saka gets by his man almost every single time.
yeah.
Almost, I will tell you that. Like as someone who watches a lot of English football, Saka gets by his man every single time. When he gets by, he either checks back
Hmm.
or he just he stops and he makes a backward pass.
Yeah,
Like to me, more intent. See, like when Madueke came in the game, like he was just going in. Madueke is a left footer also, but he still doesn't force the ball back onto his left. He always
yeah,
tries to get in because you expect your wingers to be direct and go in and try to create. Saka
yeah,
always just decides that, I'm just gonna go this way, like 10 yards forward, come back 3 yards, pass it
yeah,
back, try to get it back, reach it. I don't know if that it might be something that's just like what they work on, but it's not something that's attractive. I
yeah,
know Saka is a much better player than what he shows.
yeah, yeah. So
Maybe the injuries have not left him the way that we think,
yeah,
but I do know that he's a much better player than what he shows. I just need him to show it more often.
yeah. SB, I think it's a good conversation, 'cause it's time to have a kind of an honest conversation, not just about Saka, because we saw a stat come out where he completed only 4 passes in the entire time that he was on. I believe he played about 83 minutes, 4 passes in 83 minutes. But also a time to have an honest conversation about Usman Dembele, because I was not convinced by the performance yesterday. I think there was a lot of indecision. There was a lot. If I'm looking at this as somebody who's, because I shared the viewing party with someone who's never watched football before, and I was telling them this is the best player in the world according to the Ballon d'Or, and he couldn't believe it that this was not a player that was, when you look at best players, you're
Should have
expecting something. So
should have sent
what
him
are
an
your
MLS
thoughts
memo.
on, yeah, what are your thoughts, SP, on Usman Dembele's performance yesterday, but also a little bit about Bukayo Saka's performance yesterday?
Um, I think it's a bit harsh to come down on Saka because of the job the Arsenal team as a collective was asked to do.
Hmm.
You know, anytime you have a low block, and Saka isn't someone who has pace per se. So anytime you have to play in a low block and you're not used to it, because we saw Arsenal play throughout the season, Arsenal isn't used to playing any low block and then counter attacking football. You're not used to that. So when you're asked to do something outside of your normal duty, especially in a final where there's all types of nerves involved, you know, it's a bit harsh to come down on these types of players because these players thrive on what they can do as per their defensive duties. Because I saw Saka for a good few times falling back, winning the ball back, stopping the play.
Yeah.
But you wouldn't give him. He's not known for that. He is more known for getting in shootings, assisting, dribbling one, two, three. So he's known for these types of things. So I think it's a bit harsh, but yeah, Saka for me, like Fraka said, I don't rate him too highly. I don't want to sound like a hater, but I don't rate him too highly. In For the type of winger that I like a Luis Diaz, like a Crava, like a Dewey, players who will go at you.
Yeah.
As much as Vini, I have my thoughts about him, but he will keep going at you
All the time. Yeah.
until he gets you. You understand? They are relentless. I don't think Saka has that relentlessness about him. He is more conservative. So like, more like we saw when Jack Grealish went to City, and
Yeah.
Grealish
Yeah.
is more. Once he gets the ball out wide, he just plays the square pass, plays the back pass, and it got to a point where we didn't really rate Grealish too much. You understand? And I firmly believe Rashford is probably a better winger than Saka at the moment. Even Anthony Gordon, I
Yeah.
would say, at this point in time, is a better winger. Is Saka more impactful for his team? Probably.
Yeah.
But in regards to a winger's role, I don't think Saka embodies that as much as we are led to believe.
Yeah.
Um, and you also asked about Usman Dembele.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, Dembele has never been able to thrive against teams in a low block, especially being that he's not. He didn't start out in his more favorable position, which is out wide.
Hmm.
So you find a lot of times he's not into the game because the ball isn't coming into him. It's a lot of anytime you play a low block, it's a lot of square passes. It's a lot of square passes, passes going back. At the start of the game, I think the centre backs and the wing backs touched the ball more than the midfielders touched the ball. That's how much the ball kept going square and back. Um, but I mean, Dembele's performance speaks for itself. For itself, sorry, 9 games in the league, 9 starts in the league. Most of his games were, him coming on. So I didn't expect much from him. I didn't expect a Ballon d'Or performance from him per se. So he didn't disappoint me. All
Okay.
right, but yeah, I think for someone who is as important uh, to his team as him, I would have expected more from him. I thought I would have seen him go out wide a bit more and be a bit more impactful, but I think Dewey was trying to steal the show because Dewey was
Yeah,
literally
that boy is showing out yesterday.
everywhere. Dewey was literally everywhere to the point where I found out he was doing a bit too much. I mean, he didn't give the other wingers too, but I think Dembele wasn't fit.
Yeah.
I believe Dembele wasn't fully fit. They played him just on name and just to disrupt the Arsenal team, but I don't think Dembele was 100% fit, and that showed when they subbed him off. So yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I think man, Due. I saw an interview after the game where his French teammates were talking about him, and one of the, I guess the coaches who does the fitness stuff was talking about like he has like some of the best numbers that they've seen when it comes to the fitness tests and so because that boy was able to go and not just go but intense because you saw almost every player slow down and then Dewey was still putting up dribbles and little shuttle runs here and there like throughout the entire game and it was good to see in that aspect that the level of fitness. What was not good to see that you never like to see in a final, really any game, but especially a final, is the controversy around it. And there were a few points in the game where we saw that, and again, we never like a referee to kind of dictate a game or especially a final. But I just wanted to get your thoughts, Fraka, on the two main incidents, which were the foul, and we spoke about it a little bit, the alleged foul, but it was not called against Noni Madueke, and then the handball by Saka because we've been going back and forth with this handball rule. We saw it in the semi-final with Alfonso Davis, and it was given then, and then it was. So, what do you think about these two calls? Do you think it was correct by the referee, or how would you have judged that?
The handball, I think they need to like just honestly they need to sit down and have a clear cut. They need to have something clear cut because it's still going to be come down to discretion
Yeah,
what the referee thinks happens. If it's off the thigh, through the hand, is the hand in an unnatural position? What is an unnatural position? What are you supposed to be doing? We don't know that like this it's a lot. Every time there is a call like this, there's a different explanation as to why it's not given.
yeah,
That's my issue with the handball rule.
yeah.
Madwiki, the Madwiki one, I explain like in real time, you give a penalty
From the angle
because
you're at, yeah,
from the angle you were looking at, everybody was looking at, okay, my God, why is this not a penalty? But he didn't have to initiate the contact the way that he did, and that's why he didn't get the call. If Madwiki had just stayed on his run, coming across the defender, that defender clipping Madwiki all day
yeah,
because he's not fast, he's not quicker than Madwiki. If Madueke had just take that extra touch and come across the defender, he's getting the call. He's either getting by or he's getting the call.
yeah,
So he had no reason to put his hand under the defender before the defender even attempted to play the ball. So then I was like, all right. When I saw the replay, I was like, nah, that's not a penalty.
yeah.
That's me.
Yeah, yeah. I agree with you on these points, but SP, wanted to ask you, what would you like to see the handball rule be? Because it's been, we talk about, like Fraka said, the natural position. We talk about, oh, if it hits off your body and it's going away from goal, like what would you like to see the rule if you were in charge of creating the handball rule?
Just a bit more logic, I think we go outside of the norm with the handball rule and we try to do too much with it. I think we need to keep it a bit more simple and just use a bit more logic when it comes to the handball rule. Because, for instance, the Jean Neves when Vitinha cleared the ball against Bayern
Against
Munich
Byron, yeah,
and it hit Jean Neves' hand, logically, there's no advantage for Bayern if it doesn't hit his hand. So I don't think that should be called a handball for penalty. If it hit his hand outside of the penalty box, that's a bit different. So you can call a foul and give a set piece for that. But a penalty is a bit too harsh. I think that's where
okay,
they're losing the plot for the handball rule. Because for me, the Saka handball, it was definitely a handball and it was a penalty. Saka has no pressure on him. Saka miscued and it hit his hand. And it not only hit his hand, it hit his right hand first, I think, then it went back to hit his left hand.
yeah,
So what's really going on there is so that gave in my mind, that gave him an advantage where since he miscued the first ball, it hit his hand and it gave him a favorable decision where he was able to clear the ball because it hit his hand. Had that ball not hit his hand, and when he scuffed and there was a player around, that player could have probably won the ball. So I'm not sure if that was the referee's thinking at that time. Probably
hmm,
there was no player around him. But to me, the handball allows him to get a chance to clear the ball and move it from danger. So Arsenal is at an advantage. So the team has an advantage. So that's why I think the penalty should have been called. But I think we just need to just keep the handball rule very simple, not overcomplicate it. Leave it to the referees at the discretion. I think what we need to do, instead of changing the handball rule, we need to change the referee's perception of it and
Yeah.
have them use more logic as per have them use go by the rules. Sorry. Yeah.
You see, the thing about the logic, and I'm just playing devil's advocate here, but you see, the thing about the logic is that not everyone is logical. Because even we had that talk after the Joao Neves and the Vitinha one. Because for me, you're talking about they didn't gain an advantage. But for me, I'm seeing if this ball was not, well, if the ball did not hit Joao Neves' hand, then Bayern are building another attack and they're going. And also, like, where does it stop? Does it mean that, if I am in trouble, I can just hit it off someone's one of my teammates' hand, and it's just like make it look not not intentional. The same thing like Alfonso Davis one when they talk about, well, if it hits your if it hits a part of your body before your hand, then it shouldn't be called, but in that case it was called. You could just think of, like, there are so many scenarios. That's why I think the logic part of it is tough, because if you have to think logically, I think they should say only explicitly ball, like your hand swiping at the ball would count. I think that's the only way that people could say logically, okay, if you make a swipe at the ball, it counts. But if your hand is just steady and the ball hits it shouldn't count. And I feel like
Mhm.
that's
So what?
leaving, then
So
you'd almost never get a penalty for
now
handball.
you're asking people to to interpret what's steady.
Was like, if your hand makes a move, because both in Saka, I don't think Saka necessarily made a move. The ball came up and it hit his hand, but he didn't make a movement towards the ball.
So then,
And then
is
Alfonso
that a
Davis the
penalty?
same. It hit his fine and it hit his hand, but he didn't make a movement. For me, if I was making the rule, I would say if your hand makes a movement towards the ball, because I don't know if you remember the one with Odegaard, I think that was against United, when he almost
Where
like
he,
dribbled the ball.
yeah, and he slide and he
Yeah,
catch it.
so if
That's a
you make a
penalty.
movement, yeah, if you make a movement towards the ball like that, it should be a penalty or it should be a handball wherever on the pitch. But if the ball hits your hand in a, like, you're standing up and the ball hits your hand, I wouldn't say no penalty. But that's just how I would write the rule. I don't know if that would clear it up or make it, but I feel it would also lead to a lot less penalties, a lot less underballs, because the
Because
only way is like you have to
now you say
actually,
like now you're trying to say like the only way you got a handball is the defender makes himself bigger by
yeah,
using his hands.
yeah. I
Yeah, I
think that would,
just think. Yeah, no, sorry. I just think that any way we try to spin it, um there will always be a yin and a yang. There will always be we will always be able to say something else
yeah,
as per what so that's why I said let's just try to keep it logical, because with logic it's more clear rather
hmm,
than it's interpretation. It's just logic. Okay. Like you said, Joe, because and I kinda disagree. If the ball didn't hit Joe Neves' hand
hmm,
and it has been cleared by Vitinha, it would have gone upfield.
yeah,
So Bayern would not have been able to build it. So the PSG team would not have been able to regroup. You know, so that's why I think there's no advantage.
yeah,
So I think the logic helps us to assess who has the advantage and who doesn't. I think that if the team who is handling the ball it can gain an advantage,
yeah,
then they should be penalized. If they don't have an advantage, like Jean Neves, the ball knocking his hand, there's no advantage there,
yeah.
because
I
that
like
that
that.
ball would have gone out anyway.
Yeah, I guess my
You
central
understand?
thing about it is intentionality, and yours is about gaining advantage. The only thing I would say about the gaining advantage is that for me the advantage would be the penalty, because that would be my advantage, is that you made a mistake, your hand was in the wrong area, maybe it wasn't even you, it was a teammate, but it was your responsibility to, it's your team. It's much like with a lot of things in life, it might not be you, it's your family,
So
like you're
let's
responsible. So
so
you should have got your hand out of the way, and if you don't, the advantage for me is a penalty. But that's how I would
all
see it.
right. Okay, so what SP say now, we should go back to clear and obvious denial of a goal scoring opportunity.
Yeah, like an advantage. Yeah,
And yes, now I see if SP saying that, then we start from scratch and figure it out.
yeah,
Because before, handball used to just be something, okay, you're this guy was supposed to was going to score. You deliberately push your hand in the way.
Deliberately,
rather
yeah.
deliberately, rather than the ball hitting
Right.
your hand, like, rather than the ball just hitting you on ricochet, on a ricochet.
Yeah.
You're not even sure if you're gonna get the ball, but because this man's back is turned and I try to play the ball and your hand is in an unnatural position, you're getting a penalty.
Mhm.
That's not fair.
That fair at all. That fair. But
Yeah.
maybe, maybe just maybe what we can do. I play in a sweat last semana. The guy's handball rule: once the ball hit your hand, your hand can be glued to your body. Once
Mm.
it hits your hand, handball. They okay. So,
And
so
you see
they
that
can
with
probably
that with
back.
that one,
But
it
that
almost
that's
it
already been
almost
established. But
makes
the thing, it's been established that that's the rule.
yeah.
Once it
With
hit your hand, it's handball.
but the thing about that one is that now you have attackers want instead of trying to go past you, they're trying to chip the ball onto your hand.
Exactly my point. So
Yeah.
that's where that's where, since we have VR, we are we can assess if that attacker was intentional in gaining an advantage in he has nowhere to go, so he just kicks the, just like when somebody tries to win a throw or
Or
corner,
foul or something, yeah.
you can tell when somebody kicks a ball on an opponent for it to go out
Yeah,
for a throw. You can
Yeah.
tell.
Yeah, yeah,
Just like
yeah.
for a handball, you can tell when a man trying to kick a ball on a man hand.
Yeah, true, true.
You
Okay.
understand? So yeah,
Fair, fair.
but I mean
Okay.
that's a neither here nor there.
that's a
Yeah.
Like
that's
I
a
said, that
funny
can go
rule.
anyway.
That's a
So yeah.
funny rule, though,
Yeah,
SB.
yeah. So the next thing I wanted to ask you is that we know that the game wasn't a France versus Argentina final. It wasn't that exciting. But was there anybody, Fraka, that impressed you in that game yesterday?
Oh, Desiree Due.
Okay.
Desiree Due. That boy showed me like, all right, that's a dog. Like no matter everything was going wrong for PSG, and he was still looking like he wanted the game from the jump.
Yeah.
I was surprisingly impressed because I just thought that this man was just a squad player, but he has
Wow.
yesterday he showed me that he can actually be one of the best wingers in the world if he's given a chance.
Like
That
you
being
could like you
said,
could see him starting for France.
he- but he's supposed to. I thought he's gonna be the one left out. I've
Hmm.
told you all this, but Dembele is the one that should be left out
Yeah.
for fitness reasons and performance reasons, right? But on PSG side of the ball, I thought Due opened my eyes a little bit as to like someone I should pay more attention to
Yeah.
in football, and Hakimi just showed me as to why he should be considered one of the best right backs to play the game
Okay.
because
Yeah.
of the way he managed himself
Hmm.
in a time where the game was just not working well. He was his head was up and he played the game the way he was supposed to, and he performed at a great level. Even when the game was like dead, he was like, okay, he's playing well. On the Arsenal side of the ball, I honestly think Declan Rice had a good game.
Yeah.
I honestly Declan Rice, like I tell people like I don't think Declan Rice is a part. We were having a conversation. I think Declan Rice is one of the best midfielders in the world.
Yeah.
Honestly, honestly, when it comes to playing the ball, reading the game, his energy levels, his determination, he had a good game.
Hmm.
Is Declan Rice the player that the thing that he is all world central midfielder dominant? This is where we disagree.
Yeah. Yeah.
But he did have
Okay.
a good game yesterday. So for me, the player of the game yesterday for me was Desiree Doué.
Okay. SP,
So
what about you? Like, who's one player or a couple players that impressed you yesterday?
So I actually saved that for the podcast for the podcast, and I didn't say it in the group. I think João Neves,
Oh yeah,
as much as we speak about
oh
Desiree Dewey
yeah,
being
for
fit,
real. Yes,
João
yes,
Neves didn't stop
yes.
running from the
For real.
off.
Yes.
João Neves, I don't know how Vitinha won man of the match, to be very
That
honest
little
with you.
that little 87 guy.
João Neves was literally everywhere on that field. And not just everywhere, João Neves was impactful.
yeah, with quality, man.
Yeah, and I I'm a bit biased towards midfielders, for obvious reasons.
Yeah,
But I think João Neves put in a shift that I don't think many people his age, because people like to give Yamal and these types of youngsters Ada Gula kudos. Jean Neves for his age and what he's doing. Jean
Yo,
Neves
that
currently has two Champions League for his age.
that was a double shift, you
And
know. Like,
Jean Neves was doing it all, winning the ball, advancing the ball, keeping the ball. Jean Neves was doing literally everything.
Yep.
I've seen Jean Neves play at right back already for
for
PSG at
Portugal.
one point
Yeah,
in the season.
he did it for
Yeah.
And
Portugal too.
and I saw a team of the season, I think on 4-3-3. And the midfield was Soboslai, Rice, and I think it was
Vitinha.
Vitinha.
Vitinha. And I was so disappointed with that.
Yeah.
I mean, to not include João Neves,
So who
I
would
think
you
is
remove though?
criminal. No, I would most,
Shrubasai.
I would not have
This season?
Soboslai
I mean, he's
in.
been good, but
If I,
the stage
if I
that
had, yeah, if I had to have Soboslai, it wouldn't have been for his Champions League performances.
No,
yeah
no, 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 no. Okay, okay. Wait, why?
So the team of the season was for Champions League,
Oh,
not
okay, okay,
not
okay.
like overall.
Okay,
yeah
I
all
would
right,
not
so
have
okay.
Soboslai. I would not have Rice. Be it that Arsenal went undefeated, and I still think that whole thing about not winning a game in 90
penalties.
minutes, and hey, a loss is a
Yeah,
loss.
a
Be it
loss
in
is a
90
loss,
minutes,
man.
120
Yeah,
minutes spent, a
I
loss
agree.
is a loss.
It's still a L up there.
Yeah, a loss is a loss. But my midfield for the Champions League would have most definitely been, I would have Vitinha at the base. I'm not a big fan of Declan Rice at all. I'm
Okay.
very sorry. I would have Vitinha at the base. I would have João Neves, most definitely João Neves. And I'm conflicted to go with just two, then play three on the top of the two, and then have a lone striker. So I
Yeah,
don't think I don't think I would have three in midfield per se.
because you think
Also,
Vitinha,
you would play 4-5-1 rather than a four. Actually,
Four
no,
to
or four
4-4.
to
four
three
four
one.
four to
Four to
three
three
one.
one.
I
Yeah.
would
Four
play
to three
right.
one. Okay.
Right,
Yeah.
correct. Yes.
Four to three
Yes.
one. Sorry. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, for me, I think Joan Neves kind of suffers from that unsung hero gene in terms of you look at some of the great teams. You look at a Makalele, never got any awards for what he did. You look at, I mean, Kante. People spoke about Kante, but Kante didn't win any awards.
You want to talk about a real unsung hero in the midfield?
Yeah,
Marco Senna.
yeah, for Spain. Yeah, like
Marco
again, these
Senna.
guys didn't get any award, but these guys go through so much work every game. But when you have people judge games based on goals and assists, you sometimes miss out
But
on that. But
that's
the
what that's the era that we live in.
yeah,
Is
it's the statistics
for
era. It's
statistics.
that's is if you're not scoring, you're not playing good. But
Listen,
the
I disagree. That was forced on us by Ronaldo and Messi, because
yeah
before that, we didn't care about stats. We only cared about football. Messi and Ronaldo forced that on us because that was all we had to go on
I
to
still
differentiate between these two players. So yeah.
so I never really fell into the trap because like I was what I was telling people, right? You can give people the flowers, right?
yeah
Without putting someone else down.
down yeah for sure
It's okay because I would talk to a casual football fan, and the only thing they can tell me about Ronaldo is that he has more goals than Messi.
yeah and just like there's so much more to
Okay,
football
all
than
right,
that.
this all right. I will talk to SB, right? And SB will tell me, that's I'm a Madrid man, so it's Christy for me. But that Messi fella, that is the
Different.
greatest you ever see. And you can tell somebody that I would respect you telling me that because I can say Ronaldo is not like I would say Ronaldo is the hardest working man I've ever seen in any sport.
Yeah.
That's not named Kobe Bryant. Because when someone invests in himself and take care of the boy the way that he doesn't work hard like that, you have to
Hmm.
respect him. Ronaldo is a workaholic. Messi is a natural. Like you have to
Yeah.
respect certain things about the people. I'm a Messi fan because obviously I support Argentina, but I just prefer the way Messi plays football versus
Yeah.
the way that Ronaldo plays football.
And I like to counter when people talk about Ronaldo is hard work and Messi's because people don't see that there's no way to be a professional footballer if you're not putting that work, and two, to be a professional footballer at a level to play the amount of games that they play when they get to finals almost every year, so you play more games and get to that level. Because even now I saw Rodrigo de Paul did an interview and they were talking about, now they're getting, because at first Messi didn't confirm or deny if he was going to the World Cup, and he was talking about they do 2 sessions a day where they train with Inter Miami and he and Messi do their own individual session. And like, if it's Cristiano Ronaldo doing that, that's going to be on social media. But Messi's doing, if DePaul never told us that, we would never know that. But that's neither here nor there. What I want to end our day with, though, and we can talk about that Messi versus Ronaldo stuff more, is just that we saw Arsenal having the lowest possession in a Champions League final since 2004, since records started. So 28% possession in a final. And I think we can all kind of agree that PSG were the better team and deserved winners in there. And although when it comes to penalties, if Arsenal had won, it probably wouldn't tell the full story of the game. But I wanted to ask USB. Do you think now that PSG have almost perfected the way of playing and they've gotten to two finals, won two finals, do you think that they can go three in a row like Real Madrid did?
I mean, they've done it twice. Why not think that they can do it 3 times in a row? They have the squad, they have the youth mixed with the experience. I foresee them only signing more players to help the squad because I think Luis Enrique is that type of coach. I also think Enrique has a backing of the board and also the president. And I foresee them signing players that they need as players that they just want to have on show and
Yeah.
to make money off of, shit deals and whatnot. So it's more possible for them to do that than I think it is for them to not do it at this point in time. I think there's going to be a bit of fatigue for most of their players because I think almost half of their squad will be starting in the World Cup, so they have no rest for these players. Yeah, but we'll see. Yeah, we'll see. But I think it's very much impossible. Yeah.
Fraka deserved winners PSG, and can you see them doing it 3 years in a row now?
But on the 28% possession, I think that was Arsenal game plan because they knew they wouldn't have much of the ball anyways.
But
So they
28% is very
still,
low.
still yeah, that's extremely low. I agree. Nobody saw that coming. Like SP said, I think Luis Enrique is so much of a forward-thinking coach to settle for what he has. So honestly, I think they're gonna get a pure nine to have a plan B to win games in 90 minutes and not 120. So because clearly they don't think that Gonzalo Ramos is good enough to play as their nine. That's the reason why they just started playing that three wingers up top and whatever happens happens type of style. He does have the back end of his board, so I think they will reinforce what they need to. But like I said, you get two, why not go for free? Don't be surprised if they prioritize the Champions League next year just to say, hey, we got
Yeah.
free in a row also. Because the French league is me always a foregone conclusion. They
Yeah.
gonna be the ones in front unless some miracle happens. So can they go free? I can see it, especially seeing what's happening around. Like who's gonna really show up next year to dethrone them? Because we've seen them be the worst team to qualify and win.
Yeah.
We've seen them be one
I
of the best to qualify
I'll
and
tell you
win.
this, right? If I'm a opposing coach in a top European club right now, I'm looking at this game from yesterday and the overall season, and I'm getting a more encouragement than inevitability that PSG go on and win three. Because one thing I noticed yesterday is that they don't have very much squad depth, and I'm not seeing that the players they brought on, at least you didn't see much of them, and the game itself didn't give in to seeing players' ability because it was very slow and stagnant towards the end. But you talk about Berardo and Zabrini and the players, and you looking at the players that are in the bench with key I've what his name there.
Gonzalo Ramos.
Gonzalo
When you
Ramos.
put
The bench did not scream quality to me in terms of
and
difference
that's
makers.
so
That's the
you
one
think
thing
you
I would say as a opposition is that if I can frustrate them in the way that they play, there's not much they have in terms of change. So you spoke about it, and it's
so
not
you
that they
think
don't have the money to bring in. I think for opposition, for players, it's just like I don't want to be a squad player because a squad player means I'm playing in League. Oh, maybe I don't feel as challenged. and it's just not enticing as opposed to say, okay, I'm playing in the Premier League and maybe I'm a Premier League player and there are players for Champions League. It's not the same thing as going and playing in Liga. Two, I'm also seeing, some weaknesses. I'm seeing Marquinhos, struggling with that area ball. Maybe not other people played it. Even Pacho struggling. I know the quality that they have up top, but I'm also seeing ways to neutralize some of the players that have been very influential throughout the season. So I'm taking a lot of positives from it, and also just the mentality that it takes to go three, and the reason why only Madrid has done it, and even in the Premier League, you see only City have gone four, because it takes you naturally, with whatever you do in life, you will get satisfied, and then you won't be able to hit the levels. You won't run the same beep test. You won't maybe put in the same drive. You won't train as hard. It's just mental. You might not tell yourself that you're doing it, but your body will just recover. Because again, just winning one Champions League for people in their career is fantastic. So two, they could be satisfied. And then you spoke about obviously the fatigue that might come with these guys playing in the World Cup. But yeah, a lot to unpack there. But guys, we're running a little over, so I just wanted to give you guys, a minute or so just for final thoughts on what you thought of the game overall from yesterday, SB.
Yeah, the game didn't go as I thought it would because of the Arsenal goal. But I mean, all in all, I think Arsenal made a good account of themselves because everyone had written them off. Well, not everyone,
I
but
did.
the majority had them written off. So I think they made a good account of themselves to get the game to go to penalties. Um, but I think in the end, the best team, the not just the best team in the game, the best team throughout the season, Champions League season, that is, won the game.
Yeah, fair. Fraka, what do you think of the game overall?
Uh, yeah, more what as you were saying, like I didn't what we expected was that it's going to be one of those, riot games. Arsenal did come out with a plan. They executed it very well for about 60 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
Um, the better team on the night definitely won the game, and the best team throughout the competition won the competition, which is something that we haven't said about the Champions League in a long time.
Yeah,
So,
yeah,
so couldn't we did we want a more entertaining game? Yes. Are we surprised at the game that we got? Probably no.
yeah. Fair. I think
So
that's a fair assessment.
so then so like it's what it played how it's supposed to. I think maybe moving forward, the UEFA will try to figure out a better way to get more competitive matches in the group stage again, because they try to fix it and they keep messing it up
Yeah,
for some reason. And I just want that to be fixed. But I think all in all, it was a decent Champions League season. Some of the games are very, very good. A lot of surprises.
yeah,
Different. I mean, people were hoping to get that Barcelona Arsenal, but nothing that people wanted came to pass.
yeah.
So it's all right. And we had some good games on the back end. So I'm just gonna say about that.
Okay. Yeah, so that kind of brings us, ladies and gentlemen, to the end of our club season, So we see the champions in the domestic leagues. We saw the European champions in our three European competitions. But that's not the end of our football for the summer, because again, it's a lot of football coming up, and we the next time you see us will be on the next time you hear from us rather will be on the 8th of June, where we'll start our World Cup talk. We'll have tons of predictions going in. We'll take a look at the World Cup rosters for the surprise inclusion, surprise omissions. We'll take a look at what we expect from the group stage, and you'll also get a chance to critique both SPs and Fracas World Cup bracket as they look to predict it, and we might even put some money on the line for that to see how exciting it can get. So look forward to that. We're going to be back on Monday, June 8th. So that's next Monday. But again, thank you for listening. Please like, share, subscribe to the channel, and please, we want to hear your thoughts on what we've been discussing. So thank you once again, and have a good day.